Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby. The kick-ass martial arts action is about to begin because the God of High School anime series has finally arrived. I went into this series completely blind. I had no idea what the God of High School is going to be all about. But you guys have been heavily requesting that I check out this brand new anime series, which is based on a Korean comic, which is called a manhwa, I believe. It's similar to a webtoon. I don't really know what the big distinction is between all of these different comic styles. All I know is it looks like these Korean-based comics are really making a big splash in the world of anime. You got to see that in the last season where we got to see big shows like Tower of God premiere and be incredibly popular with people, to the point where just about every request for the God of High School I got was actually from my reviews of Tower of God. So I'm very excited to see what this entire show is all about. And I can honestly say that the first episode blew my balls off. There's no denying it. The first episode of The God of High School is just badass. Over the top, spastic, hilarious, and featuring some amazing fighting choreography. And it just gets me so hyped for what the rest of the series is eventually going to deliver. But my favorite thing about The God of High School is that it seems like an anime series that is tailor-made for me. I love action anime, and it's all because I grew up watching shows like Dragon Ball, One Piece, Naruto, Yu Yu Hakusho, and my favorite type of story arc in all of these different types of anime and mangas is the tournament arc. And they immediately start with one in this series, and it's just freaking incredible. So what's the deal with the God of High School? What's it all about? Well, let's just dive headfirst in to this brand new kick-ass action anime series. The God of High School looks like it's going to be sort of like a series that takes place all over the world, but this first episode takes place in Seoul, and we get to see that there's going to be this massive martial arts competition called the God of High School, where all these different martial artists and people from various martial arts schools come together and have like this big free-for-all competition to basically see who is the strongest possible. And there are no rules to this competition. Essentially, you can use weapons if you want to, you can use any means to take out your opponent, and the only way that you win is if you get them to get knocked out or you make them surrender. Basically, no holds barred, badass action. And the lead up to that is definitely, I think, one of the best parts about this episode. There is an energy to the God of High School which is just prevalent throughout the entire first episode as they immediately introduce what looks like are going to be the main characters of the series. But there's a little bit of mystery to the world as well. There's an opening scene at the episode with all of these three businessmen on some mysterious island who are suddenly stamped out. And I mean quite literally stamped out. There is some sort of like weird force which somehow destroys all of them, and it seems to be someone who's involved with this massive martial arts competition. Really, the next part is just introducing all of the main characters, these three young martial artists who are actually making their way to the God of High School competition. And it looks like our main character is going to be a guy by the name of Jin Mori, and immediately he's just a really cool character. He has a striking visual design with spiky hair and these weird eyes. I've never seen eyes like this in any other anime series. His pupils are very strange looking, but it immediately makes him a very distinctive character. They dive into his backstory just oh so much, showing that in the past he had a grandfather whom he really looked up to, who left him as he was getting ready to go off to school, but then we get to see him as a teenager in this episode as he desperately wakes up late trying to make his way to the big martial arts competition, which is an excuse to not only see this brand new world, which is bustling with a lot of activity, but also to see the other characters as well, and to give us a really over-the-top chase scene. The second martial artist that we're introduced to is a character who goes by the name of Han, and he's essentially a guy who just works at a grocery store, and I can't really tell you much about this guy aside from the fact that he's just brutally strong. He can take out like 10 people at once with a single punch. We also have a female lead in the form of Yu Mira, and she's just super freaking adorable. And she also happens to use a sword. I'm not sure what type of sword it is, if it's like wooden or if it's like some sort of like toy or something. It's really strange, but she's able to use it in a very deadly fashion. And while she might come across as like kind of timid and cute, she's one hell of a badass. But let's get back to Jin Mori for a second. There's a great scene at the beginning of the episode where he's desperately trying to make his way to the martial arts tournament, and the animation here is nothing short of spectacular. It's so spastic and insane, and they're not even afraid to sort of get away from the fact that things are not super realistic in this series. The characters move and stretch in a way that almost makes them seem like they're made out of clay, and it makes the action scenes all the more inventive because of the different camera angles that they can use, and watching him dodge the cars and jump over railings and dodge all of these crazy things is just an absolute joy to watch. It also gets even better, too, when he sees this old woman is actually being robbed by this guy on a motorcycle, and he decides to give chase, somehow being able to keep up with it just on his bike, and he ends up dragging that one girl, Mira, into this massive chase scene where they end up working together, with her quite literally hanging onto his shoulders with her sword, chasing this guy down, which again leads to more crazy action and a lot of slapstick comedy, with Yu smacking directly into a sign, and then of course the big arrival yet again of Han, who punches the shit out of this thief, destroying him and sending him flying. This is a great introduction to all of these characters, and it also brings them all together at once. It was a great opening scene for the episode, but the momentum never drops because we immediately jump to the big competition that everybody's looking forward to, the God of High School. So we go to this like massive arena which is filled with all of these exciting fans. We got an MC with a really crazy design with a big old freaking long nose, and that's when we get to this competition, which at first I thought was going to be your standard bracketed style tournament where you're going to have 2-on-2 and elimination. This is actually going to be a straight up free-for-all. Everyone who is involved in the competition here is just going to start fighting, and they waste no time in getting to it, and this is when the episode just freaking blew me away. So much awesome martial arts action actually happens during this scene. It's accompanied by not only really great animation and artwork, but distinctive character design and some solid-ass music, which just amplifies all of the amazing action. It also gives us an excuse to see what a lot of the main characters in the show are going to be like, what their designs are going to be, and of course their various fighting styles. Everybody seems to have like their own thing going for them, with Mira using her sword, Han basically just being like a super strong boxer and punching the shit out of people, and then there's Jin Mori, who seems to be incredibly diverse with the skills that he's actually able to use, being incredibly nimble as well as very fast. And like I said, guys, I can't do this scene justice. You simply need to see it for yourself. It is spectacular. So Jin, Han, and Yu are actually able to take out a number of different people, but then they decide to bring in this wild card, this late entrant to the competition, who's a guy by the name of Kang or Kong. By the way, I need to go ahead and say that a lot of this stuff is Korean-based, and it's going to be really hard for me to pronounce some of this stuff, so if any of you guys can help me with the pronunciation of places or character names in the comment section, I would really appreciate it. But this guy comes in, and he has an immediate handicap. He has his hands tied down, and he's only going to be using his legs. And that's not going to stop him. He just stomps all over all these people, and we get to see that Yu goes on the attack to try and stop him with her sword. He ends up catching it with his freaking toes, which is crazy. And then, of course, you have Jin, who comes in and tries to humiliate him a little bit by pantsing him, and you get to see his goofy, cute freaking boxers, which have a bunch of cute animals on them, and an elephant on the front, which is basically saying that, yeah, he's got an elephant's trunk in his pants, and then that's when Jin decides to fight against him. This guy actually tries to kick Jin, and in like a split second, you can't even see it, Jin is actually able to fight back by sort of elbowing him directly in the freaking foot, causing a massive bruise, and he notices that this kid is incredibly fast, and right there, right as you're getting excited, ready to see the next part of the fight, the episode ends. And my god, is it next week already? I want to see more! So what's the rundown on the very first episode of The God of High School? I liked Tower of God. I'm loving all of these brand new Korean-based webtoons which are going to be transformed into anime, and I see a bright future for it, and if anything, it's creative and it gives us something a little new. God of High School blew me away in its first episode. I absolutely loved it, and I'm really glad that I went into the series blind, not really knowing what I was going to get, because this ended up being maybe one of the biggest surprises of the entire anime year. This first episode is so much freaking fun, I can't contain my excitement for it. And that's not even talking about all of the other little details about the show. There are these little comedic moments in this episode which work so perfectly, and with the way that the characters move and how fast the actual animation is, it's the type of show that begs rewatching, if only to catch all of the really small details. There's so many little jokes in this episode that I can't count them all, and I really love that even Crunchyroll had some hidden advertisement in this episode, which really wasn't all that hidden, to be perfectly honest. I also want to mention the intro of the show. This intro fucking slaps. I love it. I love the imagery. I love the colors. The song is perfect, and it just gets you hyped up for what is going to be a super hype action anime series. This could be one of the biggest shows of the year. I can already tell that a lot of people are very excited for it. It's easily the biggest requested anime review that I've had in a very long time. I asked a lot of you guys, like, what sort of shows do you guys want me to look at? And this one was definitely, like, right at the top. Like, this is the one. Now I know why. Now I know why people are so obsessed with this franchise. And just like Tower of God and just about every other anime series that I do watch, I'm not going to look at the webtoon, the manga, the manhwa, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to watch the anime version. I want to see how this is all going to play out. I want to see how it's going to surprise me. If any of you guys do actually read the other adaptation of the series, if you are going to put spoilers, at least put some sort of warning in the comment section, as I try to avoid those like the freaking plague. I want to see how this entire series is ultimately going to unfold, because there's still a lot more to this show, I have a feeling, especially with the opening scene of the entire episode, how that's all going to tie in, how there's this evil organization that's probably behind this entire tournament, the fact that they already hint that Jin has actually battled with some of these guys before. There are these shady higher-up people that are watching the entire tournament, one of them with blonde hair, and Jin has commented that he's fought this guy and he wants to fight him yet again. There's this underlying lore to this series which hasn't been introduced in the first episode. Really, this one is just showing us who the main characters are and throwing us immediately into a big action sequence at a tournament. And in that light, it did a phenomenal job of that. As far as first episodes go, this might be one of the best ones that I've seen in a long time, and it has just got me so excited to see what is next for the series. I also really like the characters. There's not much to them yet, but they're all immediately likable, and I love how they're all completely different from one another, which means they're also going to play off each other, I think, in a really fun way. Jin Mori is a great character. He kind of reminds me of a more intelligent Luffy from One Piece, with some elements of Goku and maybe even Yusuke Urameshi. He's incredibly happy all the time. He seems like he's going to be a very boisterous and fun character. A nice juxtaposition to him is going to be Han, who is very calm and cool and collected, and Ymera is just cute and freaking fierce. They're going to be a great cast of characters, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of them. There were some distinctive fighters that they actually showed during the big martial arts tournament, which looked like they had their very own cool look and their very own styles of fighting, so I hope we're going to get to spend time with all of them. Really, I'm just excited for the rest of God of High School. This is a series that I didn't know that I would want, and now I just want so much more. Great first episode, amazing production value, fantastic music which just sucks you in every single action scene, great comedy, and I cannot speak for that action enough. It is awesome. 5 out of 5. Great first episode. You heard my thoughts about it. I want to hear yours. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below if you watched the very first episode of The God of High School. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Who was your favorite character who was introduced in this episode? Your favorite scene? And what do you hope to see from the future of The God of High School? Let's have a big discussion about it in the comment section below. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel for more reviews just like this one. Make sure if there's a brand new show coming out this anime season that you want me to check out, tell me what it is in the comment section below. If I have time, I will try and watch it. If you did like this video, hit the like button. Super easy to do, helps out these videos tremendously. If you're subscribed to the channel, hit the bell notification icon. It's going to let you know when all of my videos are released. Another great way that you guys can help support my YouTube channel is by checking out my Patreon. Please look for that in the description box below. I have a number of very loyal patrons who have been making great donations, and remember, if you do make a donation through my Patreon, I will review an anime series of your choice. It just so happens that my next Patreon review is going to be coming up very soon, so please stay tuned for that. Otherwise, that's it for today. I'll see you all next time, guys, and as always, stay dandy, baby.